The Apple Watch is the first all-new device that Apple has launched in 5 years, so it seemed as good a time as any to make my first ever launch day purchase of an Apple product. Just to maintain 100% transparency, I might be considered an Apple fanboy based on the amount of devices I have from the Cupertino-based company. That being said, I'm not going to sugarcoat my opinion of this product. First, I suppose I should outline what type of Apple Watch user I am. I've found my most common usage of my watch to be messaging, whether through the native Messages app or through Slack, the group messaging app. I've found the Apple Watch to be very convenient for communication. Responding to messages, either using the preloaded responses or using Siri, is a much more convenient errand, especially while behind the wheel. I've never been a big Siri user, but this watch has slightly changed that. I now use the watch for navigation as much as, if not more than, my iPhone. Siri is nicely implemented overall, that is, when it works. There have been many times when I've opted for the voice option only to have my watch freeze up for 10 seconds or more before finally catching up. I have had the watch fully freeze and need to be manually shut down and rebooted, but only once. The only use of the watch for phone calls is simply letting me know I'm receiving a call if my phone isn't in my pocket. Answering them on the watch seems just really gimmicky and unnecessary. On the bright side, handoff works flawlessly, so you're going to look like an idiot for the least amount of time possible. The appearance, sleekness, comfort, and generally all of the external attributes of the Apple Watch match up to Apple's standards. The more rounded casing is somewhat of a throwback to the pre-iOS 7 days, yet it still exerts an incredibly modern tone. I've found the sport band to satisfactorily occupy my bulky wrists, which generally do not like being constrained by watches. Unfortunately, I already have a decent amount of scratches on the glass. Other than pressure washing and cycling, I haven't really been doing anything particularly harmful to the watch, so that's kind of disappointing. Fitness tracking is definitely one of the things that I looked forward to the most, and I've been slightly let down. The activity tracking can be adjusted to fit your lifestyle, but it maintains 3 categories. The watch reminds you to stand if you've been sitting for too long, but also reminds you every once in a while to go for certain goals. Now, this is a good idea in my opinion. Unfortunately, I don't think that the watch knows exactly what I'm doing. For example, I routinely get reminded to stand up when I'm standing and have been standing for extended periods of time. I've also been cycling for around an hour and then looked to see my exercise meter stalled at 10 minutes out of 30. The goal is good, but the achievement falls short for me. One thing I didn't expect to be praising is battery life, which I assumed would barely get me through the day. I was pleasantly surprised when I routinely managed to only use around 60 to 70% of the battery throughout the whole day. I would say my use of the watch is moderate, not particularly low or high. The watch's Bluetooth connection to my iPhone 6 Plus is so fast and reliable that I often forget that it's even connected. It usually takes only around 2 seconds for the watch to reconnect if I switch Bluetooth on my phone off and back on. Small screen size is obviously inherent in being a smartwatch, but it hinders my enjoyment of the product nonetheless. You are prompted to enter a passcode upon strapping on the watch, and I almost never get it right on the first try. The charging system is about as easy as it could be. So, my verdict? I don't think that the watch is definitively worth 400 to 500 big ones as it stands right now, let alone the bucks that it requires to obtain the more fashion-friendly models. Is it a complete failure of a product? By no means, it just needs some polishing. It is a nice toy, but it is not a necessity. Not yet, at least. I suspect that smartwatches will come to be very commonplace in the next couple of years, but this product is not something that will change the world in its current state. It's very good, but it's not great. It's not Apple great.